Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. David Goggins, this guy is proper crazy. He managed to escape an abusive family situation and he decided to become a Navy SEAL. The only problem was that he was overweight, uneducated, and unprepared. And this was the starting point of the man who became the toughest endurance athlete that I ever come across. Motivation is bullshit. David Goggins decided to change his life. He wanted to be a badass mother. I quote, "I brainwashed myself to crave discomfort." This guy started to schedule pain into his life. He was doing the most crazy things just to what is called callous his mind, to build up a tough mindset. David Goggins, he makes this great observations about us humans. We tend to hatch our most challenging goals and dreams, the ones that demands the absolutely most effort from us and promises absolutely nothing when we're tucked into our comfort zones. That's when we come up with ideas. That's when we have ships all over ourselves in the sofa. That's when we come up with, oh yeah, I'm gonna run a marathon. I'm gonna climb Mount Everest. I'm gonna lose 50 pounds. In this book, we get to follow his whole journey from being this kind of a lazy nobody with no self-discipline at all, really. Also coming from a broken home, which made things even more challenging, no education, and all the implications that have, to becoming someone who was running 100 miles without training, on broken legs, pissing blood. I mean, there's some pretty actually horrible stuff in this book as well, but the way he pushes himself also has an inspiring effect because it shines a light on the potential of human beings and what we can achieve and how far we often are from the mark, from hitting the mark. Like for me, I probably could push myself much more than I actually do, whether it's in learning, my fitness, anything that I take on. This guy did not only run, he also has the world record in pull-ups, and this is my number one pull-up inspiration. Everyone has a pull-up inspiration, right? He has the world record in 24 hours in 2013. He made 4,030 pull-ups. Try that. And one lesson that I got from this book is, or it's a mindset that David Goggins distilled in me, and it is when you think that you've done your utmost, you're probably only at 40%. And I use this when I run, like when I feel like, oh shit, now I really have to quit. I think, oh, now I'm at 40%, and I start to count up towards 100% from there. And it's all mental, right? I know I talked to another book nerd, Timo's Notes. Shout out to Timo's. It's so important what we tell ourselves when we do these hard things. Like if you run and you tell yourself, oh my god, this is fantastic, I can't get tired, and you keep saying that mantra all the time, you won't get tired in the same way that you would otherwise. You should try that. This book that I use still, and it was a while since I read this, is when I'm about to give up on something, usually when it comes to fitness and working out, I think to myself, what would Goggins do? It reminds me of this documentary about CrossFit that came out a few years ago with Froning. He was always winning the Reebok CrossFit Championship, blah blah blah. And his competitor, he had written on his wall in his garage where he had his gym, what is Froning doing right now? I have that same thing with David Goggins. When I'm about to give up, I think to myself, what would Goggins do in this situation? And that always brings some extra energy because I know he would push himself much harder than I'm doing. The most common excuse that Goggins hears from people for not working out is that they don't have time, right? And I get it. We're all busy, but Goggins says like, that's not good enough. You must conquer the morning. You must master the dark hours, as he says, before your spouse and your kids wake up. That's when you have your chance. And when I read this book, and what I'm also trying to do now, is I just go up early. It's such a win, even if you want to get into a reading habit, for instance, go up a bit earlier, before everyone wakes up, before the mail starts to come in, before the phone starts to ring. That's when you can get quality time with whatever endeavor you're trying to master, right? That's when you can go for a run. That's when you can read, meditate, all of that. Master the dark hours. This is the takeaway that I've taken from this book. I've also done it. I put my alarm for 5 a.m., 5:30 each morning for a year or two, and it really, really works. I just got the physical copy of this book. I actually read this as an audiobook, and last Sunday, this book added 10 kilometers to my Sunday run. There's two reasons for that. The first one is that the book is really good and I didn't want to stop listening to it. And secondly, it's a book that actually made me realize that I'm not putting even half of the effort that I actually could into what I'm doing. This book will challenge you to set a higher bar for yourself, and it's really a fantastic book if you can see past the Navy jargon. So that's it. Pick up Cant Hurt Me by David Goggins. It's a great book. It was a sleeper hit when it came out. I feel like it came from nowhere, and it feels like it already has gotten cult status. And comment below. I want to know what your morning routine is like. I'm super interested in that, so scribble that down below. Subscribe, press the bell, all of that. It really helps me reach more people, and see you next week with more book reviews. Björn out.